Education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want.
Government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, and let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative deficit, I can pay for the program.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to this early edition of Shtick with Koolfrogg. You know, there's some interesting stuff that actually happened through the day when it comes to whistleblowers, as well as a bunch of other things that actually happened. Now, in the last 2 days, I had talked about several things. Oh, okay. There's a couple people. Hey, Squad Bob. Good vibes to you, dude. Hey, Shiloh man. Good to see you. In the last few days, I had actually talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene and the things that she had been doing with articles of impeachment against almost everybody in this administration. So the whistleblower stuff is great. Yeah, we're going to actually watch the whistleblower stuff after I'm done talking about a few things. We're going to actually do a Rumble exclusive, watch that. And that should be fairly interesting in itself. I watched a bunch of it, but I didn't get to finish the whole thing. So that will happen. That will happen here eventually. As well as Anna de Alba. Anna de Alba, this justice that was trying to be pushed through, really not a good person. Kind of glad that they actually did what they had done to actually hold her off for now. I would hope that they can actually keep it that way, and we'll see what happens here in the near future. It's not easy being green. No, it's not. Is it, Squad Bob? It's totally not. It's not easy being green. So let's start off with the Marjorie Taylor Greene impeachment stuff. So then here you go. So then we got Marjorie Taylor Greene files impeachment articles against Joe Biden and admin officials. So this is Republicans are putting their money with their mouth is when it comes to holding President Joe Biden and his cabinet accountable. On Thursday morning, Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she was filing articles of impeachment against the president, but he's not the only one. So she's reiterating herself. You know, we have to remember, go back to day one. Day one, Marjorie Taylor Greene actually did file articles of impeachment towards this current president of the United States. She's going to continue to push this through, and she's added a whole bunch of people to the list. So in the last few days, we talked about FBI Director Christopher Wray. We talked about Alejandro Mayorkas. Well, now there's Merrick Garland's added to the list, as well as several others. She's not going to stop. And let's see. She has filed impeachment articles against FBI Director Christopher Wray, Attorney General Merrick Garland, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, and U.S. Attorney Matthew as part of what she's calling impeachment week. During her press conference, the congresswoman referred to Biden administration as America last and argued that it has been working since January 20th, 2021 to systemically destroy this country, specifically when it comes to how his handling of illegal immigration. So, what's up, Winnie? Good to see you, brother. When it comes to the illegal immigration, we're actually going to hit on some of this immigration stuff here a little bit. I'm gonna try keeping this first bit fairly short before we actually hit that Rumble exclusive. Be ready, because once we go, we're gonna go. It's not gonna be a whole rigmarole to get there. During her press conference, the congressman referred to Biden administration as America last. So knowing Trump's America first agenda type thing or whatever, her going after this administration, calling America last, she's just pointing fingers at it and pushing and prodding at it, to actually make it squeal. So, and that's what it's going to do. Eventually, Joe Biden's going to have to actually come up and actually say something about this. He's going to have to actually be brought up and actually, talked to by committee. There's no way that he can actually think that he can get away with, everything that he's done. It says, quote, Joe Biden has deliberately compromised our national security by refusing to enforce immigration laws to secure our borders, allowed approximately 6 million illegals from over 170 countries to invade our country, deprived Border Patrol and necessary resources and policies sufficient to protect our country. And his administration has willfully refused to maintain operational control as required by law. And willfully refused is pretty much what it comes down to. Is they've willfully refused to do absolutely anything to stop the amount of people coming across that border. You can see that approximately 6 million illegals from over 170 countries. This isn't just like one country that's having an issue with people, or with their own government, and they want to actually walk away from it. These are people from around the world being shipped to a certain specific location so that they can walk so far, try making it as far as they possibly can, and potentially not make it. Potentially not make it. When I say potentially not make it, we will actually talk about this 8-year-old that's actually the second child that has been caught up in the wrongdoings of this immigration stuff, and been it's very scary and dangerous when to actually think what they're actually doing with people. She went on to mention concerns of fentanyl, which she acknowledged was the number one killer between the ages of 18 and 45 to overwhelmingly flood into our country and kill about 300 Americans every single day. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Hey, Caitlin, how you doing, dear? Good to see you. Also referenced how the administration has lost complete contacts with approximately 85,000 unaccompanied illegal alien children, and his policies have forced tens of thousands of illegal children into slave labor. Where are these kids? And that's a very good question. Where are they? Where are all these children that are supposedly coming across this border unaccompanied? And what are they doing with them? Do we care? MTG went on to also mention how Biden reinstating catch and release policies were catastrophic and disastrous, how they allowed illegals to flood our country and our communities. Mayorkas' role in having illegally granted mass parole to aliens when U.S. federal law only permits parole to be granted to on specific case-by-case basis. She spoke about the hypocrisy of the health measures and the vaccine mandates, which, when it comes down to it, we're not contesting any of that, whatsoever. Here we're not doctors, we're not lawyers, and we're not trying to actually tell people what to do, how to do it, when to do it. You should always see your doctor and do what's best for you. But she's actually calling it out for what she believes it to be, endangering the lives of Americans by allowing um, those who had tested positive to enter the country. I mean, and when do you where do you draw the line on where you actually let people in, where you don't? I mean, it's kind of strange that we actually speak of the coof the way we do, and thinking that it does one thing to people that are actually here, but it does another when there's people that are actually traveling around the world. It's really kind of an interesting how that just so happens to work. His policies, directives, and statements surrounding the southern border have violated our laws and destroyed our country. Biden has blatantly violated our constitutional duty, and he is a direct threat to our national security. Therefore, Joseph Robinette Biden is unfit to serve as president of the United States of America and must be impeached. Out of the real world where American taxpayers live, employees are fired when they are corrupt and aren't adequately serving their employer or purposely destroying a country, a company. In this case, the employer of the American people, because they pay the salaries of everyone in the federal government. Uh, which is pretty much what it comes down to is we pay for these people to actually out of our pockets to do the job that they're intended to do, and most of them have this seem to be not have their own agenda, seem to not be working for the people, but for themselves and to bolster their own pocketbook, per se, I guess. So when it comes down to it, it's been a bad deal for a long time, and now we're just kind of hopefully more and more people are waking up to the issues and actually seeing what's going on and what is actually destroying this country. Making her case further for impeachment, MTG pointed out that the Constitution outlines a very simple process to fire the corrupt politicians serving on the federal government: impeachment. She went on to stress that these figures she is filing articles of impeachment for are all corrupt and all unfit to hold office, and they all must be impeached. As her way to conclude impeachment week, chatter had increased about impeachment, something that certain Republicans offered up would be a priority if they took back control of the House. These are a particular interest of impeaching Mayorkas, including from MTG, who had previously signed into articles of impeachment against the Department of Homeland Security and has since repeated those calls. This isn't like a one time, let's see if this sticks. No, this has actually been something that's been in the works for a while. They've been actually trying to file these articles of impeachment towards the whole administration to get them removed since the beginning, since they've been, each one of them were selected for their positions. Um, Biden is currently attending a G7 summit in Japan, though he is cutting his trip short in the debt ceiling negotiations after giving House Speaker Kevin McCarthy the slip of over 3 months. Now, because he's in Japan, there was this thing that actually come up where they said that he was struggling to open his umbrella. I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. He doesn't really struggle opening the umbrella. There is this they're trying to push his incompetence as far as they possibly can to make it look like he's actually really that incompetent. And sometimes they push for things further than they really need to. And I believe on that one, they actually kind of, did just that. What's up, Alan Walsh? Good to see you, brother. MTG also subsequently doubled down in the need to impeach Wray as she tweeted out footage of the hearing held by Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization in Federal Government also on Thursday morning. So this in particular, this subcommittee on weaponization in federal government, uh, is what we'll actually be watching here later on in this show. Now, when I say later on in the show, as soon as we're actually walk away from the YouTube side and we go to the Rumble exclusive, is where we'll actually watch that whistleblower stuff. Now, I know it's on C-SPAN, so I mean, I could probably try getting away with it, but I'm not going to attempt. I'm not going to attempt. I just really don't want to uh, uh, push the game on that. Whatever. I want to play it safe. So we're gonna do that exclusive. So everybody that's here, make sure that you remember to hit up that Rumble side of things. If you don't like Rumble and you're like, I don't like their chat engine, go over to locals. Go over to locals, do that thing, and you can join chat in there. It is live, and we will be using the locals more and more as time goes. So then you can see Mr. O'Boyle here, whatever actually is the one that was part of the this speech today. A very interesting ordeal, and the reason that I wanted to make sure that I covered it in particular, um, I really don't want to. I want to make sure that I give myself enough time to actually do that. There's a lot of show on that when it comes down to it. So hopefully not too much longer before we actually start kicking over. I do have a couple other things that I do want to cover. Um, it looks like out of all the people that they're trying to currently impeach and remove from the government, so it says here GOP introduces resolution to expel Adam Schiff from Congress. So, yet another person that they're actually trying to expel from Congress. They really want to get rid of as many people as they can. So you can see a Rep. Anna Paluna, Republican out of Florida, unveiled a resolution Wednesday seeking to expel Rep. Adam Schiff from Congress as she alleges that Schiff played a decisive role in pushing the narrative of former President Donald Trump's collusion with Russia. Now, we're not saying that he didn't do it, but at the same time, there seems to be an awful lot of information that's come out in the last few days, from Durham reports to the whistleblowers to much else. So, being that they want to actually remove people that are part of this current administration, and now they're actually going to go after Congress members as well. So now they're looking, you got reps looking at other reps and being like, no, you had something to do with this. It was you that did this. You're the one that caused this massive um, uh, show of power from the left, and let's shut it down. And it sounds like that's what they're going to attempt to do. They're going to attempt to actually do just that and start removing other people that have anything to do with Congress. So it's like if you had something to do with it and you were on the wrong side of Congress and you actually did something wrong, and they're actually going to start finding you wrong for what you did, don't be surprised if there aren't several more resolutions that come through to actually start removing other members of Congress. Could be an interesting, couple of year and a half here going into election cycles to see what actually does happen. So then to kind of move along, like I said, I want to get to this exclusive. So then this Anna DeLuba or De Alba, Anna De Alba, um, she is somebody that they tried to actually install as a judge, and it didn't seem like it actually went the way that she wanted it to go. So it says radical Biden judicial nominee is left bamboozled after being asked legal questions by Louisiana Senator John Kennedy. What's up, Lucky Chucky? Good to see you. It says Senator John Kennedy is a national treasure, complete with an incisive wit and dry sense of humor. He has displayed these talents throughout his time in the Senate, whether by stumping unqualified Biden nominees or in interviews with reporters. He once again put these talents to great use Wednesday by confounding a radical left Biden district court nominee named Anna de Alba during her confirmation hearing. One of de Alba's jobs before becoming a judge was working for the American Civil Liberties Union. Ah, so yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Of course she did. De Alba currently serves as the United States District Court for the Eastern District of California. Ah, California. What a wonderful state. Such a wonderful place. So many wonderful people came from there. Um, and it seems as though they get a bad rap for what they are, but some of the people that I know, they're great. They're wonderful people. Um, it's too bad that the politicians are horseshit. Uh, she's been nominated by Biden to serve on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. One would think as judge she would understand basic constitutional law. Alas, she repeatedly flunked a question that a first year law student could answer. Kennedy asked Alba if she could explain the Dormant Commerce Clause since it had been in the news. The Dormant Commerce Clause is a legal doctrine which prohibits one state from discriminating against another state's commerce or impose undue burdens on interstate commerce. De Elba replied that she was somewhat familiar with the clause, but did not elaborate further. "Oh, yeah, I'm somewhat familiar. Okay. Well, what is it?" You ask the question, you don't come up with a well, somewhat familiar. When you're the judge, and these are like legitimate questions from people if they're going to actually allow you to become a judge, to be installed into a position that you're going to be there for potentially the rest of your life. You need to have better answers than somewhat familiar, I believe. So Kennedy responded by reminding her that there's a big Supreme Court case dealing with the Dormant Commerce Clause in California and was previously heard by the Ninth Circuit. So maybe she was actually trying to actually play it off as well. I'm somewhat familiar, but wanted to actually make it be that she didn't have anything to do with it already. So that way, being installed, she can actually look like she actually has a different opinion on it. But you still have to give these people answers. You can't just not give them an answer. As Fox News reported, the Supreme Court case Kennedy referred to is involved California's Proposition 12. This is a state law that states pork products imported into the state must meet certain welfare standards. The Biden Justice Department ruled against California, claiming Proposition 12 was unconstitutional because it violated the Dormant Commerce Clause. The Supreme Court bucked the Biden regime and upheld California's law last week. Despite these obvious facts, de Alba was left completely bamboozled. So then let's listen to her.
Judge Del, this has been in the news a lot lately.
8 days ago.
And you'll probably see it if you're confirmed to the Court of Appeal. Tell me about the Dormant Commerce Clause.
Senator, I'm somewhat familiar with the Commerce Clause, which is found in Article 1 of the Constitution.
It was a big Supreme Court case. It just came out of your state.
And I apologize, Senator. In my 11 years of practice and my 5 years on the bench.
You had to really seriously think about that. In your 11 years of practice and 5 years on the bench, you had to stop. You had to rake your brain to actually come up with 11 years of practice and 5 years on the bench. Make a weird face. Look off to your left. It really makes me wonder if this lady's legit at all. Hey, Space Power Monkey. Rumble chat is best chat, says Space Power Monkey. Ah, there you go. There you go. Hit that thumbs up button over there. The dozen of you sitting over here on YouTube, if you could hit that like button for me if you hadn't already, that'd be great.
I have not dealt with the dormant commerce clause, but if I am so fortunate enough to be confirmed and have to
Okay, I'm going to stop this for a second. I'm going to back up because I see there's somebody that entered the room here. So, Mimsy, evening to you. Thank you so very much for the buy me a coffee donation from yesterday. That very, very well appreciated. Thank you so much.
and have to deal with it in the future, I would certainly
You'll look it up.
research it and be prepared.
All right, then just tell me about the Commerce Clause in general.
So my understanding about the Commerce Clause, like I stated, Senator, is that it is under the Article 1 of the Constitution, and it allows the legislature to create laws that allow for movement and things related to commerce in the United States. So anything crossing state lines, things like that.
So it allows Congress to regulate commerce.
Yes.
Between whom?
Between states, for example.
Mhm.
Yes.
Anybody else?
It's not coming to mind right now, Senator.
Okay.
Anybody else? Is there anybody else that they would actually be trading with that you'd actually, really? So then, where's she? So then you can see not coming to mind right now, Senator, despite humiliating herself, to Alba will likely have no problem getting confirmed for a lifetime judicial position because Democrats control the Senate, which is freaking ridiculous. This lady seriously had no clue what was actually happening. He questioned her and she was confused. She was confused straight off the bat. So if she's confused straight off the bat off of a simple question from a senator, how is she going to deal with being in their Supreme Court and dealing with these hard-hitting laws that are actually, here's Democrats taking over anything and everything that they possibly can and making it their deal. And these appointing de Alba is not going to be any help to California whatsoever. It's going to hurt California. It's going to hurt California so bad that you might as well just leave the state of California. If you can get out, get out. Go, run fast. Ooh. It's half hour. Nice. Daisy Girl sitting over on that Rumble. So there are people that are getting ready to actually go over there. I do want to cover one or two other things here real quick. It seems as though, because we like to cover, things that actually happen with our transportation systems. Before we actually go and kick over to that Rumble side, remember, Rumble exclusive here in a few moments. So a rail car carrying 30 tons of explosive chemical pellets arrives at destination empty. Officials say rail car leak may be to blame. Wait a minute here, what? So this is a railway carrying 30 tons of explosive chemicals arrived at a final destination empty. The train car was loaded in Cheyenne, Wyoming on April 12th with 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate, which is often used to make explosives, matches, and fertilizers. In this instance, the chemicals on the train car belonged to Dyno Noble, a commercial explosives firm. After 2-week-long trip to California that made several stops, the rail car previously loaded with the chemicals was found empty. While the shipment went missing in April, the explosives company filed a short incident report to the Federal National Response Center on May 10th. Dyno Noble stated that the suspects of the chemicals fell from the train car when moving from the main track to the rail siding. It added that the shipment was transported in pellet form in a covered hopper rail cars similar to cars used to haul coal. The spokesperson for the company told KQED the rail car was sealed when it left the Cheyenne facility, and the seals were still intact when it arrived in Saltdale. The initial assessment of the leak, though, is the bottom gate of the rail car may have developed in transit. Dyno Noble noted that it had limited control over its shipment while it was transported by Union Pacific. The spokesperson for Federal Railroad Administration believes that one of the gates in the hopper car may not have been closed properly. Well, okay, there you go. Let's just blame it on somebody else. Let's point fingers at something else and not take blame for losing a full rail car's worth of dangerous chemical explosives. It's like, what? Okay, no, not a problem in pellet form, but still, no problem. You know, the rail car is on its way back to Wyoming to be inspected. The incident is being investigated by Federal Railroad Administration and the California Public Utilities Commission, Union Pacific, and Dyno Noble. On Thursday, Dyno Noble announced that it had been awarded the Union Pacific Railroad's 2022 Chemical Transportation Safety Pinnacle Award. So last year, they were they were given an award for their safety. This year, they go and they lose a whole rail car worth of chemical component. No big deal. We should give it to them again. This award recognizes company with 0 non-accident releases of shipments and regulated hazardous materials moving in tank cars in 2022. So, obviously something's happened in the last year when it comes to rail transportation. Railroad transportation is actually been very, very disastrous in the last few months. And now we're just, losing full rail cars worth of whateverness. Hey, Rose, how's it going, dear? Good to see you. And it's just amazing. 30 tons of explosive chemicals. Just nowhere to be found. No big deal. Don't worry about it. It just floors me to actually see that such a thing actually occurred. A couple more things here when it comes to I told you that we were going to kind of sort of hit on some immigration stuff here quick before we actually walked over to Rumble. We are actually going to go to Rumble here very soon. Share this screen here real quick. So then this one. Here you go. Mayor Eric Adams, nearly half in New York City hotel rooms are now filled with migrants. Isn't that nearly half? And just New York City alone are filled with migrants? These are people that are not paying for rooms. These are people that are getting rooms for absolutely nothing, being able to stay there off of our dime, that we, as U.S. taxpayers, our dime is paying for all this. Trip Saturday. Big truck chemical spill and some type of peroxide on I-40 had traffic backed up for mileage. Wow. Amazing. So when right, nearly half, wow, it's that number's tremendous. When you look at, and this is this is hotel rooms in New York City. This isn't hotel rooms across the United States. These are hotel rooms in New York City. They're shipping these people to any hotel that has space, giving them a room at the taxpayer's dime, and we have no say. We have no say whatsoever on any of it. We're just going to allow it to occur. So then, you're living rent free at the expense of the local taxpayers. They say local taxpayers. So, those that live in New York would be paying for it. Well, if you think about it, every local place, if you've seen the map last night, anybody that watched last night's show or whatever actually would have seen that there was a map that was brought up of all movement per 10,000 it was like 10,000 per dot or something. And the map was just speckled. The whole United States map was speckled with movement of immigration, it's like, holy crap. Since the spring of last year, nearly 70,000 border crossers and illegal aliens have arrived in the sanctuary city of New York City. Many use buses from Texas by Governor Greg Abbott. The figure represents the fracture of the millions of border crossers and illegal aliens who have been released into the United States interior or successfully crossed the border. For months, Adams has been giving lucrative contracts to the city's powerful real estate industry, which is housing tens of thousands of migrants in hotels. Most recently, for example, New Yorkers are set to foot an annual $75 million bill to put up border crossers and illegal aliens in Manhattan's iconic Roosevelt Hotel. They get top of the line hotel rooms for $0. And that's going to be paid for by the local people. Anybody that lives in any of these places, I feel bad for you. I really do. Anybody that lives in any of these places that's actually footing a bill for all this, because this is something that this current administration has been allowing to happen by not paying attention to the border whatsoever, and just allowing people come from so many different countries into this country, which is the reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene has actually gone to the point of actually doing what she's done and actually bringing up articles of impeachment and every single person that has something to do with this. Wait until tomorrow, because today was the president. You had Mayorkas and you had Christopher Wray and you had a couple others. Wait until tomorrow, see who she brings up for impeachment week tomorrow. That's going to be fun. I hope it's the vice. I hope that's who it is. This week, Adams had nearly half of the city's hotel rooms are now filled with the border crossers and illegal aliens, calling waves of illegal immigration an onslaught that officials are struggling to deal with and demanding President Joe Biden spread out new arrivals to towns and cities across the United States. Almost 50% of those hotel rooms are taken up by migrant asylum seekers that we are paying for. So instead of monies coming from people who are visiting us and spending in our tourism, in our Broadway plays, instead of them using these hotels, we are using those hotels. Adams noted that the cost of illegal immigration to New Yorkers who are paying about $5 million every day to deal with the issue will far exceed $4.3 billion when lost tourism money is factored in. Every single state, this is just New York City. Every single state's going to start feeling this. Every single place of tourism is no longer going to be going to be tourism. It's going to be filled with immigrants that are unwilling to, maybe work. Who knows what they're unwilling to do? who knows what they are willing to actually do and how dangerous they are. Nobody knows. Nobody knows because they hadn't gone through any kind of customs. They were allowed to run into this country and move to wherever the hell they wanted. They're kicking disabled vets out of housing because they get more money for migrants. Yep, go figure. Go figure. Because it doesn't matter about our service members. Our service members to the U.S. government mean nothing. They don't care. They can actually try tooting their horn and saying they do, but I doubt it. Adams noted that the cost of illegal immigration to New Yorkers who are paying about $5 million every day to deal with the issue will far exceed $4.3 billion when lost tourism money is factored in. When I take a hotel offline and use it for migrants, then we are not getting those residual impacts. So there's the 4.3 billion, which is going to be higher, I believe, which is ridiculous. He thinks it's going to actually be more than the 4.3 billion of projected. That's scary. That's scary for every single New York resident that has to actually pay for this. Last week, Adams said 4,200 border crossers and illegal aliens arrived in New York City, with more than 900 arriving in a single day. In total, he said the city is having a 13 to 15% migrant buses arrive, having 13 to 15 migrant buses arrive every day. That's amazing. It's an amazing amount of people that they're actually just shipping in. They're just going to ship them in. They're going to be like, we've watched as Koof has, ran rampant and damaged our economy and did what it had done to us, and watched the multitude of people like myself that actually seen what was actually happening and what was going on, moving out of blue states and into red states to get away from the bullshit, to only have this happen, and what they're actually, where they're actually pushing the majority of these migrants is into these red states, where they're going to try actually pushing them to actually vote the way they want, as opposed to voting the way the person themselves wants to vote. And that's what they're going to do, because they're migrants that can't speak English. So as citizens of the United States of America, I think if we don't actually stand up to the government, or stand up and help these people understand why they're actually here and what they're here, what is good about the United States of America, we're going to see some big issues come out of this. So then, because of the mass amount of people that are actually transported across the southern border through migration, a couple things have actually happened within the last few days with them, and they get the hotel or property. Who will gladly take the money? Yep. So then here you go. 8-year-old illegal immigrant's child is unalived unexpectedly after suffering medical emergency while the Border Patrol custody. Second one this week. This is the second one this week. Young children being brought across with families or without, unexpectedly no longer with us. Joe Biden has blood on his hands. On Wednesday, 8-year-old illegal immigrant girl passed unexpectedly after she suffered a medical emergency while the Border Patrol custody in Hurlington, Texas, in her family, according to Fox News correspondent. Fuck Fox. The young child was transported to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced deceased. Customs and Border Protection is now conducting an investigation into the incident, according to press release. Today, an 8-year-old girl tragically passed away, so they're going to go ahead and they're going to actually say it all over again. I just don't get it. Really, reading articles is so much fun, but every single time they do the same thing over and over again. Last week, an unaccompanied illegal immigrant from Honduras passed in the government custody. So a 17-year-old illegal immigrant named Angel Eduardo Maradagia Espinoza, who arrived in the U.S. without a parent or guardian, died in government custody in Florida. So, are they actually taking care of these people, or are they actually, bringing them in and actually not taking care of what I don't understand what is, why this is also occurring where we got two, fairly young people, 17 and now this 8-year-old who are who have died in custody of the United States. So I mean, they're not being treated very well, I don't think. I really don't. I really don't think they're being treated very well. I really want to get over there and start watching the whistleblower stuff. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button here. Share this out to your friends in all those places that you like to share things. Bump that like button. Go ahead. Come on, do it. You want to get it up there. It's at 14 right now. Not a bad number. But what I would like you to do now is actually bring yourself over to either Locals or Rumble, and we're gonna actually watch the whistleblower testify on the FBI stuff. Very, very interesting, and lots of fun information that come out of that. So if you're ready, let's go. Let's bring ourselves over there, and thank you all on the YouTube side. We will see you tomorrow morning for an episode of Waking Up with myself and Talking Trash and Truth. We'll see you then. Love y'all. Later.